rage, stay in your lane, turn the page, but something woke up deep inside, a stronger voice, a wilder ride. I've paid my dues, I know my worth, I've fallen down, I've had rebirth. Now I'm standing in my truth, not chasing time, I'm choosing me. I've got wisdom in my bones, fire in my soul. This isn't the ending, this is the moment I take control. Life gets better after 40, clearer vision, brighter glow. I'm not fading, I'm ascending. This is the best I've ever known. Stronger, bolder, unapologetic. I'm just getting started, don't you see? 40's forward, this is my time. The future's finally looking like me.
I'm Dr. Betsy Greenleaf, and we are back with another episode of 40s Forward. You guys are in for, I say it always, you're in for a treat, but every time we do a podcast, it's getting better and better. I think this is going to be one of the top ones we do ever. I have with me today Dr. Elliot Justin, and we're going to talk about all things sexual health, erections. We're going to sneak in some women's health in there. And so thank you so much, Elliot, for being with us today.
It's great to be here, Betsy. Thank you.
So you actually started out in the ER, and did you ever think that your career was going to end up where you're making devices to measure men's erections?
No, if you told me 4 years ago, hey, Dr. Justin, you're going to spend the rest of your career talking about erection rings, I would have said, what? What are you talking about? I don't need one. I'm good. Et cetera. I think I took care of like 180,000 patients over the course of my career, which is a fairly unique experience to people at their best and at their worst. But I can, tell you that short of a heart attack or a stroke, there are few emergencies that concern a man as much as a consistently limp penis. Matter of fact, I think that a man who's failed to get up 3 or 4 times in a row should probably lose his driver's license until he figures out what's going on. Certainly should not be allowed access to guns. I got involved in this because of first of an interest in telehealth. I went from emergency medicine to establish the second oldest telehealth company in the United States, and that got me interested in remote patient management technologies. What type of technology can we give people at home? So ideally, Betsy, they never have to see us. They're managing most of their they're preventing their health. They have themselves from having healthcare problems with data, or they're able to manage them, with data, because this device that we all have today is smarter than every doctor in the world for 99% of the problems that people have. So my mission now is better sexual health and longer lives of lovemaking for everyone. How are we going to accomplish that? We're going to accomplish that by giving people smart, comfortable wearables, men and women, that will give them data that will allow them to prevent problems from happening, or give them signals of problems before they become too difficult to treat. And also by improving the forms, because especially on the male side, women right now have a tremendous variety of vibrators, dildos, etc. Men have virtually nothing. And men could use, other than these hard silicone, uncomfortable plastic rings. So that's what we're up to at FirmTech. Better sexual health, longer lives of lovemaking for everyone.
That is amazing. How did that all start for you? Because 1 minute, you're doing like ER, and then you're doing telemedicine. And where did it go to okay, let me make for better, I'm going to say cock rings. I'm going to make cock rings for men, and smart cock rings that track their health. So that's a big jump.
Well, it really started with living in Montana. I ride horses. My wife says I ride like a 15-year-old. I say I ride like at least like a 25-year-old. But I ride robustly. And sometimes, Betsy, I have this illusion I'm a centaur. That I'm one with my horse. Yeah. So I destroyed a tree, broke 6 ribs and 6 vertebrae, and fortunately did not damage my spinal cord. But it got me interested in what's being done to rehabilitate sexual function in men and women who do have had spinal cord injuries. And there are a series of papers in the medical literature claiming that they were able to neuromodulate human sexuality. So when I say neuromodulation, most people know what cardiac pacemaking is. It's basically placing an electrode inside the body by some nerve and controlling that nerve. So if we can control the cavernous nerves and the pudendal nerves, everyone's 2 favorite nerves that no one's ever heard about, the nerves are responsible for arousal and climax, the impact would be dramatic, especially on an Asian population. And I tried out 2 rams, and then I tried it out on myself. It worked on the Rams. It didn't work on me. I felt nothing. I had a surgeon, urologist surgeon, implant electrodes underneath my pubic bone. And then 4 years ago, a urology professor heard about this, and I call this Project O for obvious reasons. I heard about my experiment, and he said he wanted to count the number of nocturnal erections that men have because they're the indicator of a man's cardiovascular and sexual health. I was unaware of that. And certainly that would be a more interesting vital sign to men, a more motivating vital sign to improve their lifestyle, their eating habits, to pay attention to their medications, et cetera, than some fluctuation of blood pressure. Because as you and I both know, in medicine, we treat associations. We have very few leading indicators to treat. We aggressively, maybe too aggressively, treat hypertension and elevated liver proteins because they're associated with heart attack and stroke. But they're not predictive. Betsy, I mean, your cholesterol make it up goes from 180 to 240. It's not really tell you anything. Now, if it goes to the extreme to 400 or 500, that's a problem. But in medicine, we treat these sort of gray zone areas and probably overtreat them, and then they're not predictive. Pharma makes a lot of money doing it, but they're not predictive. So, if a man's number of nocturnal erections comes down by 50%, that man has a close to 50% chance of having a cardiovascular event in the next 2 to 3 years. And that grabbed me, and I thought, gee, let's come up with a way of counting nocturnal erections, measuring their number, their duration, their firmness. And this doctor who approached this idea 4 years ago, he's now my chief medical officer. He'd been working on it for like 8 or 9 years, unsuccessfully. And what was holding him back? He's a cock ring virgin. Like most men. I'm fortunate to be married to a woman for this is our 38th year, who's into sex toys. And by the way, if any men are listening to this show, or women for that matter, you're contemplating getting married, being into sex toys should be high on that list, along with other qualities. People underestimate the importance of that because you're going to make love for a long time, and sex toys are fun. Anyway, I was familiar with cock rings. Here's one on my desk. These are conventional. They're made out of silicone. They're hard. They're uncomfortable. You have to have an erection in order for it to work. You have to have an erection. You slide it on, and you're cutting off the blood flow. Essentially, you're lynching your penis. And they're not safe or comfortable to be worn for more than 20 or 30 minutes. So our rings are made out of elastomer. They're soft. They stretch. They open and close with a hook, just like a bra. And therefore, they're easy on, easy off, and they can be worn overnight to assess nocturnal erections. And they also can be worn pleasurably for prolonged sex sessions as well. So essentially what we've done is embed sensors into cock rings and made the world, I prefer to call them erection rings because I want to take this out of the sex toy novelty, world. Because our ring's not like a ring you buy for $10.95 or at a sex toy store. Our rings are going to give men the vital signs of their most vital organ, and we're working on something very similar this year for women as well, and we will come out with that in the fall. Right now, there's no way of assessing the health of the clitoris. It's really astounding. You have the occasional study done by some female radiologist or urogynecologist who go in her office, masturbates and puts an ultrasound machine in herself. But that's not bedroom friendly. I want something that's going to give women the same data that the tech ring gives men. Our assumption, our thesis, is that nocturnal erections are the same significance in women as nocturnal erections are in men. They are an indicator of your cardiovascular health and your sexual health. And they will tell men and women how bad is your diabetes and hypertension. Hopefully they'll alert people to where they have a problem they're not even aware of yet. They will tell men and women the impact of medications like antidepressants, SSRIs, or cock and clit killers. The impact of certain antihypertensive medications, flow medications for men, prostate flow medications. The number, I have spoken to several dozen men over the last 12 months. Well, no, they thought they had ED. Is it really ED if all you got to do is change your medicine, though? Hey, Betsy, I know I'm going on and on here, but I think the definition of erectile dysfunction is wrong. We have medicalized something that is not dysfunction. We persuaded people, and they're ashamed of it, that they have a problem when they're simply getting older.
Wow, I didn't even think about that. And I think we do that a lot in medicine, is especially when there's a medicine that can sell that problem. It's like erectile dysfunction became a big conversation once their Viagra came on the market.
Yes. Yeah.
So.
Well, let me draw an analogy. First, let's look at the definition. Then I want to draw an analogy.
Yeah.
So this is how the International Society for Sexual Medicine defines ED. The first clause, and it's flawed. The first clause is difficulty getting an erection or inability to get an erection. I don't mean because you're drunk. I mean on a consistent basis. Well, these guys who can't get up, their problem is largely cardiovascular or diabetic. They're not getting enough blood into their penis. Why? Because their heart is not pumping effectively. They have angina. They got congestive heart failure. They've had a heart attack. Or the arteries, the pipes that come from the penis from the heart to the penis, they're narrow due to hypertension, atherosclerosis, or diabetes. And these guys struggle to get up or can't get up. And that's where our device is really valuable, because it will tell people that that's their problem. And we've had several men get cardiac catheterizations utilizing our device because they had ED, they had real ED, they're dysfunctional, and their partners, their female partners, bought them the tech ring and made them realize that, hey, the problem is not in our marriage or our relationship. The problem is in your heart. Second clause. So we got these guys. That's probably about 12, 13% of men. They can't get up because they're not getting blood in. That's really ED. That's a organ that's dysfunctional. The other group is they got function. They're getting an erection, and then they lose it. Now, why? Now, obviously, this can be multifactorial, but fundamentally, they're getting blood in. And what do we do for these guys? We tell them to take a pill. Well, they're already getting blood in. The pill's nice, puts a little more blood in, but they're already getting blood in. Their problem is not keeping blood in. And the answer for them, and I didn't understand this 4 years ago, the answer for them is a ring, because only a ring will keep blood in. But a ring's not a pill. Medicare doesn't cover it. Insurance doesn't cover it. And the doctors are largely ignorant about it unless they're gay. So what these guys, now it is multifactorial. Alcohol is really common. Maybe you should drink less. The loss of confidence. Well, this confidence kind of been interesting, because what comes first? As men get older, all men, even men in great shape, we all lose our erections faster than we did when we were young. I'll pick on you, Betsy, and I'll tease you a little bit if you don't mind. You're a beautiful woman, Betsy. If I were 14 years old and you were 14 years old and you held my hand for 5 minutes, going way back, I would have gotten an erection for about an hour and a half. That's who we are as men. That doesn't happen to us by the time we're 25 or 30. And it certainly doesn't happen to me at age 73 with my wife, even if I might be turned on up here in my head. What goes on as we get older, and women, happens in women as well too. The smooth muscle around our venules, our little veins, gets older. These muscles get weaker, and the venules get stiffer with calcifications. We see this elsewhere in the body. If we fly in a plane for a long distance, our rings get tight, our socks get a little bit tight. Didn't happen when you're 20 years old, Betsy, or to me when I was 20 years old, because our muscles, smooth muscles and venules are stronger. As we get older, blood leaves our penis faster. That's why I made that analogy to holding hands. Now, that in turn can lead to a loss of confidence, or a loss of confidence in turn can lead to blood leaving the penis faster. But if you're getting hard, put a ring on it, and you'll hold the blood in. Now, obviously, maybe you shouldn't have had that fourth cocktail, but you can probably have had a third with a ring and perform. And then there are medications, as you and I are aware. The antidepressants, the antihypertensives are bad for men's or women's, for that matter, sexual performance. There are other issues as well too. Hey, maybe there's a baby crying next room, and you're worried about paying the mortgage, or maybe you and your wife had a fight, or your partner had a fight. But there are other things that enter into it. But if you're getting an erection, a ring is an effective therapy. And these men don't have dysfunction. These are 85% of men. They got a problem. Women have vibrators. Men need to put a ring on it. So what? Now here's an analogy how we medicalized it. Betsy, I'm not going to ask how old you are, but do you run as fast now as you did when you're 15 years old?
Definitely not.
Okay. Betsy, I think you have a severe case of RD, running dysfunction. And I've got a whole program of exercises. I got some medications, weight loss, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what we've done with ED. We've medicalized, we persuaded men because there's money to making it. What's the incentive for a doctor? It's not to tell a patient, put a ring on it. It's to diagnose that man as being hypogonadal, erectile dysfunction. Now I got CPT codes I can check, I can make money, and I think I'm making him happy because I'm giving him pills. But you're not addressing the fundamental physiological problem, which is blood is leaving the penis. So there are 2 studies right now, independent studies, showing that our ring costs the best, but a ring will keep men harder longer than the tadalafil, the most prescribed Cialis, most prescribed PD-5 medication. So we need to change the way in which men are thinking about erectile dysfunction. You probably don't have it. You probably just have a problem, and a problem can be fixed with a ring.
You know, I'm thinking I just worked out your whole marketing plan. I think you need to partner with Beyonce with the song, like, you know, you feel like it, put a ring on it. So I think that's your next step.
Yeah, I'd love to partner, but I suspect she's kind of spendy, as we say here in Montana. Yeah. I think she'll do this for the good of humanity.
I don't know, but I think that needs to be your theme song. But you know what? That's the thing that drives me crazy. When I lecture and I teach practitioners about this and everything, and even when I talk to patients, I'm like, well, what's the best way to get a man's attention? You affect his penis. So like these erectile dysfunction is a giant red flag to be like, hello, there's something else going on in the body and you need to look into it. And I want to ask your opinion because I'm just going to give you my opinion, but I lose my mind when I see these commercials online. I'm not going to mention the companies, but these companies where people can just go online, put their information in, not see a practitioner, and all of a sudden they get pills coming to their house for their erections. And I think we're missing a lot of cardiovascular disease.
Because I might have said that 85% of men benefit from rings, but there's that 15% of men, which is a big number, who have a cardiovascular diabetic problem. And, you know, Dr. Mohit Khera, he's at Baylor, he's maybe his most famous andrologist in the United States. And he said, quote, Viagra is Vicodin. Yeah. Now, what do you mean by that? He meant that
that's a good comment.
You could be covering up a problem, and doctors are doing disservice just by passing out pills without addressing the potential cardiovascular, issues. And it's so easy for doctors to all doctors have to do is ask this one question to start. Is your problem you can't get it up, or is your problem you get up and you lose it? And then now tell me the circumstances. Now, obviously, there were because you want to rule out. I'll make a joke of it. Hey, I can't get up because my mother-in-law sleeps in the next room. Okay, that's different than I can't get up because I have a heart problem. But you need data in order to figure this out. And I think that Viagra is Vicodin, and you don't even know what the right dose is as well because we don't have any data. You know, it's embarrassing to my mind that in the field of urology, we treat people with erection pills and without data, and even with testosterone, we just get a blood test.
Yes.
Well, the range of normal is so huge to treat people with a blood test without looking at functional elements of testosterone. Like, are you having difficulty gaining muscle at the gym? And I hate the libido question because no one even knows what the heck libido is. How many times I like to quantify that with initiative. How many times a week are you initiating sex, and what's changed? What was it like in the past, and what's your goal right now? Because now I've made it objective. I can quantify it. Obviously, if a guy tells me with testosterone his goal to have sex 30 times a week, that ain't happening. But I've got men. I'm certain you probably do too. Who they are low T. And they're only initiating sex 2 or 3 times a month now, as opposed to maybe 3 or 4 years earlier when it was 2 or 3 times a week. Now I have an objective target, a functional target with the dose. And then by giving these guys a tech ring as well too, I can track their nocturnal duration, firmness, and count. And also, as I give them testosterone, I can notice improvement in nocturnal blood flow, muscle gain or stabilization, and the sexual initiative, as opposed to my Medicare urologist here in Bozeman. It's like, hey, I want to get you to average for your age. Well, that's not where I want to be. I want to be optimized, and I also want to be functionally optimized as well too.
And I love it. So your device is basically almost like a Fitbit for the penis. That's what I tell people. If you're going to track and you have the constriction bands, you have the ones without the tech, and then you have the ones with the tech. So there's a whole range of it. And these devices could potentially be saving people's lives, not just their relationships and their sex life.
Yeah, well, again, we've had 3 men I'm aware of that cardiac catheterizations. We've had 2 men under the age of 30 who ordinarily wouldn't even recommend it a tech ring to, who got them because their partners were concerned about them. One guy had an adrenal tumor, and the other guy was not being honest with his partner about his use of anabolic steroids for bodybuilding. Mm-hmm. And at the other extreme, we've had 4 men now tell us that they were going to get a penile implant, but then realized when they got the tech ring that they had normal nocturnal erections, and that the problem was in the relationship, with all these guys. So the data is really, really valuable. So, we don't prescribe blood pressure pills without blood pressure readings. We don't prescribe. If someone came to you or me, Betsy, and said, gee, when I'm at the gym, my pulse is irregular, we wouldn't say, sounds like cardiac arrhythmia. Take this pill and come back in 3 months. No, we would work them up. We get electrocardiogram, we get a Holter monitor, we get blood tests. When it comes to men's sexual health, it's basically, here, take a pill. Maybe we'll check out your T, and then we'll target a number with your T as opposed to targeting a functional impact of testosterone.
My brain is spinning now. I have all these other studies I want to do now. I don't want to take up the time on the podcast, but I'm like, ooh, well, all right, I'll go there. Cause you're seeing some of the treatments, that people are doing, like shockwave or PRP, for penis. And I'm going, for erectile function. And now I'm going, ooh, I wonder if people should be doing studies with the tech ring to see if any of those therapies
do they really work. So this is shock. So I know there are academics who don't think shockwave works. And on the other extreme, there are people more on the money side of urology. They'll shock anything. Here's what this anecdotally. This is not because I've been looking for someone to study shockwave, and I haven't found anyone to do it, which is kind of frustrating because the academics are dismissive and the money makers. Well, they don't want to lose patients. So here's my personal take on it. There are men who buy our device before they get shockwave therapy because they've heard about us, and they don't want to spend $6,000, $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 getting shocked. So if a man has and on our device right now, the database is so robust, so 4,000 men. If you get our device, you're comparing yourself to 1,000 men. Certainly 1,000, 2,000 men within 5 years of your age group. So it's normal, for your age or even above average. If you're average or above average for your age and you're considering shockwave therapy, in other words, if you're a man who has 3 to 5 nocturnal erections, you're probably not getting any benefit. Your sexual issue probably has other causes other than, vascular disease. Other hand, I have had men who have 1 to 2 nocturnal erections, or even 3 nocturnal erections, but they're weak in firmness and short in duration. Because a nocturnal erection should last over 30 minutes. A nocturnal erection should be on average about on a 1 to 10 scale, a 6 in firmness. I've had men show me that, hey, I was low and now I got shocked and now I got better. And I'm guessing that probably, I don't know, I can't even come up with a number. 30, 40% of the men who are getting shocked probably don't need it. But with data, you can actually say when you need it. Here's another thing that's interesting, because I've had guys who get our device and they improve. They get normal. And now, of course, the shockwave doctor wants to keep on shocking them because it's money. But these guys, I've had 3 men now say, well, I'll just save the money because I now have a way of measuring where I am. And I know if I see that my nocturnal erections they went from a 2 to a 4, and now if I drift down to a 3, I should probably get shocked again. So it makes shockwave therapy objective. There is there's a woman, a urologist in London, who did a study on Botox, and I was small. It had like 6 people in it, but it showed that Botox did increase nocturnal erection blood flow. That's interesting.
The blood vessels to allow for more flow in. That's
and then there's Bathmate, the penis pump company, they have the integrity, and it's an ongoing study. It will get published. But I'll share the data with you because it's positive. If it was negative, I'd be breaking that NDA, but it's positive, so I'll share it. It shows that regular, not just pumping before you to get hard and to have sex, but regular pumping for weeks does improve nocturnal erection blood flow. So that's probably valuable too. Now, when it comes to the P shot, I don't know.
Yeah.
When it comes to stem cell therapy, we have not seen anecdotally benefit. It might benefit. I'd love to see someone actually study it objectively.
Yeah. I was just thinking, I mean, it's also a catch-22 with erections because the more erections you get, the healthier the penis is. And it has to also do with the fibroblast numbers. The more fibroblasts, the healthier the erection, but you need the erections to make the fibroblasts. So then I'm thinking too, like, once you start having erectile dysfunction issues, it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy in that it's going to get progressively worse if you're having those issues. So we got to get these penises working better.
Yeah, well, I think it starts with two things. It starts with men actually getting objective data about what's going on.
Yeah,
and it also starts with men overcoming overcoming their inhibitions about using rings. And using better rings that are more comfortable, rings that are more effective as opposed to these cheap rings. I mean, it took going back to when the 70s and 80s when I was still dating, and someone finally decided to popularize vibrators for women. Vibrators have been around since the 1860s. There were steam powered vibrators for women's problems. So
yes.
But some in the 70s, and they've been around for a long time. But in the 70s and 80s. Actually, men, a couple of companies decided to popularize them. And this whole concern about, they're going to be numbing. They're unnatural. They're going to be, it's the end of the American family. People are going to marry their vibrators. And now, and it really took about 15 years for them to be mainstreamed. And they are now. I mean, it's really, really uncommon to find a woman anywhere in the world doesn't have access, doesn't use a vibrator. And why? Because they make things easier and actually better. I mean, I'll speak for my wife. She doesn't need a vibrator to have a climax, but she likes it better. So it's. I mean, I think my wife probably comes to bed with a bandolier of vibrators, depending upon what her mood.
Like Rambo.
Yeah, it's what her mood is. They come in so many shapes, forms, varieties, and men. All men have had till now is one, is these hard, uncomfortable, rings. And now, we've designed a ring that's safe, comfortable, can be used for prolonged sex sessions. And if you told me 4 years ago, getting back to the beginning of our discussion, hey, you're an emergency medicine doctor, but you're going to spend the rest of your career talking about erection rings, I would have said, like most guys, I don't need it. And now I understand it's not about need. It's about want. Do I want to get harder? Of course. Do I want to be more confident? Hey, have that third cocktail, drink 2/3 a bottle of wine, stay up later, dance for another hour. Yeah, of course. Do I want my partner to be more confident? That's a great liberation for women if a guy's using a ring too, because look, women care. I'm not talking about people that you date once online. Women and men in partnerships, they care about their partners.
Yeah.
They also want to be relieved of the concern that their partner might not be turned on, might lose it while they're going down, and then whatever. The ring changes that because with the effective ring, a man's going to be hard for 30, 40, 55 minutes. How much time does a partner need anyway? So, and then there's, do you want to have a more intense orgasm? And all guys do. But I didn't understand.
Who doesn't?
Women have vibrators, but by putting the right amount of pressure over the urethra and drawing out the ejaculatory phase. Yeah. My ejaculatory phase with our rings, because even the tech ring can be adjusted, my ejaculatory phase increases by about 50% from like 4 to 7 seconds. Well, that's incredible orgasm. So why I always have sex with a ring now because it's better. And my wife's idea of foreplay is, throw a ring at me and put on red lipstick. I'm a guy. I'm easy. Yeah, so men need to open their minds about rings, and so do women, and about men using rings. It's not. It's not natural. Well, it is. It's. Well, I cook on a stove. So do you. Women use vibrators. I mean, we have. It shouldn't be seen as a crutch.
Well,
an
but
option.
humans evolved to use tools. This is just another tool. Right?
Exactly.
So, oh my goodness, I could talk to you for hours. And I know we teased the idea that you have this women's device coming out. So I'm actually just going to mention that. And in fact, we will bring you back when that's available so we can hear about that. So
I'm looking forward to it because we've figured out the form factor because we wanted something that can be worn during sex and worn overnight, not be expelled. And we figured that out. And now we figured out the sensors and tested them on a balloon shaped like clitoris. So we know that we know that they work. And we're melding the two together, and that should be available in November.
awesome. Oh, definitely. I will get you back on here because, like I said, I think I could just keep talking to you for hours because there's so much stuff that's so fascinating about this topic. Where can people find out more about you and your products?
Sure. You can find out about us at myFirmTech, MyFirmTech, myFirmTech.com. You can reach me personally at Elliot, Elliot at myFirmTech.com.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I will actually give a little cheap plug for me. I do carry your products at the pelvic floor store too. So, but check out both places. I know you actually end up having more deals and more stuff than I'm able to offer. So, but check out the other stuff I got on my site too. But, all right. Thank you once again, Elliot, for being here. I really enjoyed the conversation. And everybody stick around, come back, follow, like, share, all the above, because this is 40s Forward, because we're just living our best life, 40s and over.
Thanks so much, Betsy.
Life gets better after 40, clearer, vision brighter glow. I'm not fading, I'm ascending. This is the best I've ever known. Stronger, bolder, unapologetic. I'm just getting started, don't you see? 40s forward, this is my time. The future's finally looking like me. We got wisdom, we got fire, we got nothing left to prove. This is power, this is freedom, this is living fully you. Life gets better after 40, this is where I rise and shine.